Yo, what's going down, man? Y'all already know, man. I know. It popped up on you. I was gonna do one last night, man, but I had somebody to pop up on me, so you know how that go, man. You trying to help people and spread the love and help people utilize their talents and what they learn, man. Sometimes you gotta just go one on one with them, help them realize that all you need to do is apply what you learn and use it for the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Been having to do a lot of spiritual readings lately, uh, helping people with getting sick with the COVID and all this and that. Man, I still do my herbal teas and stuff like that. So some people needed guidance on that and just life stuff in general, man. Y'all know we are we got. So it's good for us to stand by one another and really help each other, recognize that, man. So much respect, man. Salute to everybody in the chat, man. If y'all don't mind, man, just try to get some more people in. I know y'all know I don't go live that often, man. So it's all about, you know, reciprocity with me, man. You know what I'm saying? I like to let people get off, let people teach what they teach, and see what everybody else got to offer, man. Like I say, I still like to learn too. I love to learn. So it's more so, it's not all about me, it's about us. And that's what I'm standing with, you know what I'm saying? So in the meantime, man, much respect to everybody, man. Chickahominy Roots, much much respect, Supreme, much love. Omega Red, I see you, dog. You already know. Big bro, big dog Philly OG in the house. Much respect to you, bro. The Ohio player, Pegasus, Poe. What's good, bro? I ain't seen you in a minute, man. You already know how we do. A dots, V dots. Much respect, bro. You already know, man. Respect and resilience, and red skin was up in here first, man. Much respect to the elder big bro, man. Like I say, man, y'all know how we do. So we gonna try to get right into it, man. Hopefully some people will jump in, give some good feedback, but I definitely wanted to get into some Atlantis. Uh, we will be going back in the book Atlantis in America by Ivar Zapp and George Erickson. And we're going to touch on a little bit of the myths and creation part, man. So y'all bear with me. Y'all know I don't mind reading. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to make it as interesting as possible, you know, so it won't sound so boring and, you know, uh dry or whatever. So like I say, man, this is the book Atlantis in America by Ivar Zapp and George Erickson. For those who haven't been keeping up, I know, like I say, it's been a while, man. So I think the last time I read out of this book, um, it was, I actually read a statement, him admitting that Atlantis is America. You know what I'm saying? Himself. Uh, you might want to go back, check some of the videos out. I can't remember exactly which one, but it might be like 2 or 3 videos before this one. But basically just going over a lot of geographical architecture, finding artifacts, uh, not only just in America, but also, in other countries and continents, as they call it, uh, dealing with Ivar Zapp and George Erickson. Of course, they are actual archaeologists. Um, so the book is loaded with, temples, artifacts, drawings, paintings from, you know, 20,000 plus years ago. Um, Certain items, and, stones. One of the first uh, architectures they was talking about was the spears, about the big spears that were in different countries all over the world that actually align somewhat with each other for the most part. Uh, Going over, like I say, just different theories that people have put out and what they examine from it. You know what I'm saying? This is a good book, man. Because he really give it to you just raw and direct. You know, if you like to read, he does break down what he know about actual today's science in regards to, you know, myths and actual science that he do himself. So this is a great read. I love this book, one of my favorites. You know, so just shouting them out on the great work that they do. Um, but we getting into chapter 7, which is the myth and magic, as y'all see. Hopefully y'all see them screen sharing. So, you know, hopefully ain't nothing too wrong. Myth and magic, messages from the deep past. You know what I'm saying? Now, most people, you know, when they hear myth, you know, they people who study when they hear myth, you know, okay, these are mostly like old folk tales or you know stories that were told orally. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the uh, new stories of creation, or even some of the stories in the Bible, come from actual older myths that have been told orally. And the thing about mythology, you know, uh, most myths that I came across in my time, you can actually read and they still have relevance as of, you know, today. And being, you know, a person that read myths, I get more out of mythological readings than uh, you know, scripture. Scripture, as far as you know, from certain texts, out of certain, you know, contemporary religious, which whether it's the Quran, you know, the Torah or whatever, um, myth to me have more of an impact on reality. Even though it's called myth, is a lot of myths can be talked about today and still have, you know, relevant situations as of today. So we gonna get into it a little bit, man. Right here we got a quote from somebody here. I think he got the name. Let me see. Yeah, C.G. Jung, whatever. You know, this supposed to have been an elder from the past who actually told a story, and we're gonna read it right quick just to show you how you know certain myths or certain oral traditions and uh, stories or history can relate. But it says 8 Rabbit giggled. 8 Rabbit is a person, so it's a person named 8 Rabbit. 8 Rabbit giggled. He knew he would when the priest mentioned the turtle that carried the world on his back. Okay, talking about Turtle Island, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Since that's known, you know, to be called America. He said he had been determined not to giggle, but when the time came, he giggled anyway. Then all his young friends laughed with him nervously. It says now they all had to contend with the stern look on the priest's face. The priest then brought up the topic of the jaguar and how it would quickly devour the unbelieving. All right. It says 8 Rabbit stopped giggling. He truly feared the jaguar, and he knew that without the help of the priest's guidance, he would not know how to deal with this creature. All right. So, and then it says, man is indispensable for the completion of creation. He himself is the second creator of the world, who alone has given to the world its objective existence. And that's by C.G. Young. So, you know what I'm saying? With me, what I get out of that is, uh, having something to guide you, basically. Anything that can give you guidance or anything that can, give you a good fashion or order and a way to do things, you must take heed to it. And if you don't believe in it, then there would be circumstances and consequences based off that decision of not believing in actual order or guidance. You know what I'm saying? So To me, I'm a man. I don't mind guidance. You know what I'm saying? I love to learn and from anybody. If you really care about me, that's me. So once again, just getting into the more in depths of reality. We all we got. So anybody that can help me, I'm willing to take the help. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think we can get out of that one. So we're gonna read on, man, and get into it a little bit. Let's see what these guys got to say about it, the myths and magic. All right. So it say, if Atlantis was real, why do we call it a myth? The problem with myth, both ancient and recent, lies in our present understanding of the word. Seen from our current mechanistic perceptive perspective, there is a fatal weakness in myth as a container of history. All right. Myth describes a world unfamiliar to us, where man communicates openly, often defiantly, with gods and challenges them on earth and in the heavens. In myth, not only could men act as gods, gods acted as men with appetites for food, sex, and revenge. All right. Because the cosmos of myth was described as alive with jaguars, scorpions, and winged serpents, our modern view, driven by quantitative technology, has assumed that myth does not describe actual events. All right. So that's what he's saying. In today's reality, people like to look at myth as, just not being factual or nothing at all. But it says myth has come to be associated with mistaken primitive concepts at best or as a belief which modern science will easily disprove. All right. So that's what he's saying. Basically, modern today's science, they don't go with the myth of, the past. They like to basically, say it's been disproven or nothing's objective when it comes to myth. All right. He says the problem, to state it simply, is that to our current way of thinking, myth is not believable. Science has replaced myth with a linear and progressive view of history. It says, but if myth cannot be the truly empirical investigator, then neither can history. All right. It says history by design of reason is rendered believable, but history by design of conquering, get that out of the way. Oh, my bad. It says, but history by the design of conquering armies and dominating theologies that have obliterated past knowledge lacks continuity. All right. So basically, today's history, it just doesn't align with the actual history. That's what I get out of that. And we know that from what we've been studying. It says, moreover, history written from a presumed neutral position has never been neutral. History has always been partial to ruling ideologies. As they say, history is written by conquerors. All right. And we all agree with that. Most of the time, the people you know, who are the conquerors can pretty much write the story of what happened or what took place. I mean, that's kind of like common sense anyway. It says myth has also been exceedingly partial, but it has also retained a relevancy to the past. Let me go down a little bit. It says if there is a weakness from the rationalist perspective, there's also a strength in myth because it is primarily an oral tradition and it has been resisted to the destructive habits of invading armies. All right, it says, and because it admits that man's involvement in the heavens, it has torched the imagination of countless generations of listeners. All right, and it's got some pictures of some things we're going to take a look at. It says, throughout the world, myth has been expressed in astronomy, math, and art, where the essential message of myth has been recorded from diverse cultures, found around the world and found to be essentially the same story. Must we not stand and wonder at the tale told by myth? Question, right? All right. Hope y'all straight. Bear with me, y'all. Archaeologists have long maintained that it was only around 7,000 BC, which would gradually make that 9,000 years ago, with the gradual warming associated with the decline of the last ice age, that man began. In a limited number of river valleys, notably along the Nile, Indus, and Tigris Euphrates rivers, to establish stable agricultural cultures. All right. They say early herdsmen and farmers began stop breeding, grain cultivation, and irrigation, and resulting food surpluses permitted the first true division of labor. This stability led to a diversity of architectural, political, and artistic expression, which provided, in turn, all right, the cornerstones of civilization, right, in the will, codes of law, and trade. All right. So this is the picture 7A through D, exhibits. Uh, it says a supernatural animal, which is on the left. This one right here. It says participates in an important ritual in the Mayan underworld. All right. The plumed serpent. I guess this would be the plumed serpent. The second one. It says the creator, the plumed serpent, the creator, the jaguar, the destroyer. So that'll be the third little pic, the third picture right here, the jaguar. And it says, and Anubis, a god associated with the cult of the dead in ancient Egypt. All right. Right there, Anubis. All right. So once again, man, you got to take things exactly what it's saying. It said ancient Egypt. It didn't say Egypt, as in modern Egypt, because we know that ancient Egypt is actually describing, what we know even today, most of the Americas. Uh, the Anubis uh, mask, as you notice, is a cholo dog. The cholo dog is known to be from America, known to be at least 8,000 plus years old as a breed of a dog type of K9 or whatever. Um, that Anubis, you know, like I say, that dog can only be found in America. Uh, there are no cholos, in Africa. So even with that, with the mask of Anubis is showing you America. Not only that, but uh the findings of the Grand Canyon, uh, you know, have been known to be identified as ancient Egyptian findings, which as far as artifacts and writings that are found in the Grand Canyon. Dealing with Tennessee, shout out to AP, you know what I'm saying? There have been pyramids and actual landmarks found that actually are in the design of Egyptian architecture as well. So um, I know that's a stretch for some people, you know what I'm saying? But I know it sounds like we being greedy and like, dang, is everything just from America and America just the greatest, all just created everything, huh? I mean, well, we got proof for it, you know what I'm saying? So, and that ain't the only proof as well. Um, you know what I'm saying? Anybody want to check on La Donta, the pyramid that was just discovered in Guatemala, you already know what's up. Uh, right here, 7E, it says myths of exploration by sea. And this look like some type of mask or something, stone, something. I don't know what that. We'll see right quick. It say a fire breathing giant killed in Sumerian myth by the adventurer king Gilgamesh. The myth of Gilgamesh, king of the Sumerian city of Uruk, around 2600 BC, depicts the fabulous sea journeys of a man in search of a rare fruit plant. It says, but also in search of his own immortality. It says to find either Gilgamesh had to cross the sea of death. The adventures of Gilgamesh, recounted in Sumerian myth and recorded in stone, were very similar to those of Odysseus. Okay, Odysseus. I remember that. They got I think they got a movie of Odysseus talking about the myths of Odysseus and how he had a journey across the waters and stuff like that. It says, of whom we have a written record. Okay. So I guess they got a written record of Odysseus. Um, it says their adventures were incredible, and the events that they experienced were, to our minds, beyond what any one man could have experienced and endured. It says, yet the great myths of ancient Sumer, Egypt, and Greece always refer to experiences at sea on great voyages of discovery. It says, can the myths refer to the experiences of many seafarers neatly wrapped up in the tales of a few heroes? All right, that's a good question. Just basically saying, okay, you know, a lot of these myths kind of sound like the same story when you narrow them down. That's what I'm getting out of it. It says these academic archaeologists have based their theories on discoveries of simple agricultural villages that existed by current dating from a few hundred to 7,000 years in our past. Each time the discovery of a wholly different culture has been made, the discoverers have interpreted the new find to be not only the most advanced, but also the oldest example of the new culture. All right. So it says, thus, although far less than 10% of all the known archaeological sites in Iraq have been excavated, a smaller percentage in Mesoamerica, and almost none at all in the shallow ocean waters of the world. Archaeology and history are certain that they have arrived at the universal implications of their meager finds. It says, in doing so, they have had to ignore and dismiss the universal memory of mankind, all right, which was myth, all right. And they're showing that was what we just read in figure 7e. It says, man has been a tool maker for over 700,000 years. All right, and now this is Ivar Zapp. I'm guessing just giving you what he feels how long man has been making tools. All right, so he said man has been a tool maker for over 700,000 years. Probably he has used language for as long. All right, and like I say, I mean, I don't know how to put a time and date actually on anything, especially when it comes to us as a people, man. Like I say, if you got a naval, uh, you know how to cook, or your family knew how to cook, you knew how to, really just be sustainably, healthy in your life. More than likely, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, I bring up, how to make grits a lot. I know it sounds crazy and sounds simple. Most people like, why grits? You know what I'm saying? But to really actually think about, seeing some corn, you know what I'm saying, and actually making grits out of it, it's like, I mean, just how could you really even think to do that? Getting the water the right temperatures. I mean, this had to take years. You know what I'm saying? To master for, let's just say, the first person to ever see. Okay, first of all, you gotta grow corn. You know what I'm saying? Corn does not grow wild anyway. So, I mean, it's just somebody had to be guided into doing something in order to sustain for that long. And like you said, probably language as well. I would agree. You know what I'm saying? Just being able to communicate, period, whether you was using your hands or certain head movement, body language, whatever. It's all forms of language either way. But if you want to consider talking, um, I mean, what can you say, man? You don't know how long people have actually been using words throughout time. I mean, let's just be real about this, man. Like, a lot of people really get stuck on a 6,000 year period as if we really haven't been, or as if this earth is real young and still going through so many changes. And you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, that ain't the case, man. We know where the volcanoes at. We know where the hurricanes usually hit. You know what I'm saying? That takes knowing the land and then just having generations after generations of knowledge, knowing these things to avoid and to be able to sustain yourself. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just me. I feel like that's what people should be at nowadays, as far as looking at the past. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really ain't even no such thing. It's so long ago. I mean, you can't even fathom how it looked or how stuff was, man. You couldn't even imagine really, you know, if you really want to go that far back, you know. I don't know if that's even ever happened to be just a few people on the planet, who knows how long ago that was. I mean, let's just be real. But it says Homo sapiens has not demonstrated any evolutionary changes in the past 100,000 years. It says, although an evolutionary digressive Neanderthal subspecies flourished from 270,000 to 30,000 years ago, right? It says Homo sapiens is both older and newer. All right. So this he's just going off what science is saying and what supposed to be actual Homo sapien type people or whatever. Yet 20th century paleontologists have accepted the conceit promo, pro pro my bad promulgated, my bad, y'all, my bad, by the Catholic Church that civilized man can be no more than 7 to 9,000 years old. It says, even within the framework of Mediterranean cultures, the timetable of traditional archaeology makes little sense, which I agree. It says, how do they explain the artistic expression found at the Lascaux Cave in southwest France, dated to 22,000 BC? All right. It said, where the elegance and strength of the paintings led the Abb Henry Breuil to note that the expressions found in the art was suggestive in their own way of the early Renaissance. So just basically, saying they had a unique way of expressing art. It says Pablo Picasso, after examining the Lascaux artwork and comparing it to advances in 20th century modern art, exclaimed, it says, we have invented nothing. All right. So basically he's saying, the art that good, it don't even, I guess it just, today's art don't compare. But it says the argument has been put forth that since most of the paintings depicted animals, this was a case of primitive hunters idling away their torchlit night hours depicting the migratory game they intended to hunt in the morning. All right. So he's saying that's what's being depicted as far as how people see it, or some people want to see it. It says, but the cave contains over 600 paintings. All right. It says 1,500 engravings and a vast number of geometric figures. All right. So that's pretty complex for real to just be inside a cave to be doing artwork like that. You saying 600 paintings and 1,500, somebody knew what they was doing. And somebody did have an advanced way of of doing it. It says complex mixtures of dyes and minerals, sturdy scaffolding, and long hours had to have been committed to even one small portion of this great undertaking. It says a sophisticated and extensive source of lighting would have been required. Simple torches would have left a carbon residue, and that's true. It says, and none has been found. So obviously, however this painting was done, however they would be able to, do this type of art in a cave was highly sophisticated, and it's pretty much unexplainable how they did it. That's basically what they're getting at. It says these intricate and highly stylistic paintings exhibited a sophisticated sense of perspective in even the earliest paintings, an expression of perspective that was not found again in Europe until, all right, I'm gonna go back up and we're gonna look at the painting. Uh, and that's a sculpture. It said until the 15th and 16th centuries. It says the paintings date from 10,000 to 22,000 years ago, with some displaying sophisticated perspective and some displaying stick figures. All right, so let's go back up and take a look and see what they're saying. So this is 7F. Uh, I guess this is what they was talking about. That's in Europe. It says the Cro-Magnon cave painting of a now extinct elk whose antlers spanned 13 feet. So this could be something that could be, I guess, pretty massive on a wall. Maybe how it looked right now, it seemed like it may be something small, but this is possibly something on a cave wall, for them to express the fact that the antlers stretched out 13 feet. So basically, this is on the wall. This is what it looked like in the cave. And you look at that, I mean, you know, they saying at least 20,000, well, 12,000 years ago. It says the fauna of merriment they're doing about 12. Okay. It says, yeah, so I mean, you gotta check that out though. If that's, if they really drew it 13 feet, then that is something to see in some caves though, if you really think about that. Um, some antlers and a big drawing of an elk. You know what I'm saying? Now this one 7G is a sculpture carved ivory. It says Venus of Brasimpoi or Brasimpoi. It says carved ivory bust of a Gravitian woman's head at Landes, France, circa 20,000 BC. It says, how do 20th century paleontology explain the sophistication of the above figure or the carved ivory bust of what has been called an Ice Age hunter, found in a field near Dolny Vestanis, Czechoslovakia, and dated as about 26,000 years old. All right. So that's, they saying this is, you know, this is at least that old of a so-called, this is older than ice age. You see what I'm saying? This is old. This is supposed to be pretty old, and found in France. You see what I'm saying? So it says they make no attempt to, nor do they explain baked clay figurines dated to 25,000 years ago at a nearby site. So you talking about clay figurines right in the same area. It says there is no explanation of 15,000 years old ivory figurines found in Siberia, nor of the exquisite ivory head known as the Venus of Brasimpoi, France, that has been dated at 22,000 years old. And that's what this head is right here. This supposed to be a 22,000-year-old, pretty much ivory sculpted head. Uh, like I say, I mean, as far as the dates, if you want to go there, you know what I'm saying? You gotta say, okay, well, they're basically saying they're at least this old. They're saying, according to their research, you can at least say that this sculpture or this cave painting or this item is 22,000 years old or 26,000 years old. It's at least that, and that's still being modest, considering the fact that, like I say, when you look at the past and you look at, how long people may have been, developing life and culture, from since whenever, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's plenty of this throughout the world that we just never seen or never even heard about. You know what I'm saying? So uh it says it says yeah, it say nor the carved body of man excavated in a 32,000-year-old level in a cave at Hohenstein, West Germany. That's a question. It say nor do they explain the head of an ibex in intricately carved engraving on a bone staff dated very conservatively conservatively at 15,000 BC and found in association with Magdalenian cultures at Basses, Pyrenees, France. The stylistic unity of the sculptures and of the paintings, not only at Lascaux and Charvet, says, but throughout the region, suggests that a class or school of artists were responsible. So they he's saying it had to be some type of school or some type of organization of people who was going around doing this type of artwork, you know what I'm saying, or that developed out of these areas that were doing artwork, you know what I'm saying. uh Now we read that part. It was saying about how long. It say the paintings date from 10,000 to 22,000 years ago, with some displaying sophisticated perspective and some displaying stick figures. It says if a linear neo-Darwinian model had been at work at the Lascaux, these paintings should exhibit a gradual evolution of art. Yet it has been well established that the paintings created over 22,000 years ago exhibited the most sophisticated styles. All right. It says while the most recent paintings were primarily stick figures. All right. So he's saying, the paintings they like to show, you know, more nowadays as ancient. They saying stick figures, but when you go and look in the world yourself, and you reach these places, I guess in certain museums, or you able to go to certain places and temples or whatever to find these type of caves and this style of art, you would know. That's why they say you got to do your own travel and your own research, because what they put in our face, it's like they want us to think like we're something new from some aliens and shit, just been, people being sent to Earth to, you know, just do all type of weirdo stuff and all of a sudden being abducted by aliens again. Like this is what they really want people to think. Like it says moreover, their creators did not live primitively in the caves, but used the caves only as a gallery for their works. The evidence is that these paintings simply had to be work of sedentary artists who were part of a culture that had long before become freed from the demands of nomadic hunting and gathering. So basically saying, these to have artwork that advanced in caves and to do sculptures, that can be dated that long ago. basically saying, uh, you trying to say people running around hunting and gathering. Well, you got people actually doing fantastic artwork geographically. I mean, what are we talking about? Even when you look at the Anasazi Mountains, when you look at that architecture up there of, mountains actually having like windows and doorways on in a on a mountain. People actually, how did a mountain just all of a sudden develop, you know, some windows by itself, stairways and all that. You see what I'm saying? Like, let's be real. Um, it says Lascaux is not an isolated example. Magdalenian Cro-Magnon art can be found in nearly 200 painted and engraved caves extending over 200 of square miles in southern France. All right, so that's a long way. It says that many of these sites, some over 75 kilometers from the Mediterranean and 150 kilometers from the Atlantic, finely carved bones used for harpoons and spear points, as well as a variety of seashells, have been found. That's why I say, I mean, what are we talking about right now? I mean, you know, I hope y'all bearing with me. I mean, we talking about finding evidence of, now weaponry, you know, uh close to these places where supposedly, at a time where everybody was primitive. I mean, what are we talking about? You know, if you really had to think about it, I mean, it don't sound too primitive. I don't see people just hunting and gathering, being able to do art in a cave 200 miles in exist in distance. You know what I'm saying? And you finding harpoons and weapons out of bones and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like spear points. I mean, what are we talking about? Like, is this don't sound like some new shit. You know what I'm saying? Uh, it says, could these artists have fished as a daily activity while painting took up their nighttime hours? That's a good question. Something had to be sophisticated for you to just sit up and paint all that, all this major art, engraving in caves and sculptures and stuff without eating properly. You know what I'm saying? Just with fishing. I mean, somebody had to be preparing meals and definitely keeping people hydrated. They saying they had to use some type of scaffolding. You know what I'm saying? So somebody had to go up high, and I mean, let's just be real. It says only go down. It says only a sophisticated and complex culture could have supplied seafood, minerals, and dyes from over great distances and provided the time needed for the creation of these paintings. All right. That's what I'm trying to explain. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's primitive crossing water with, weaponry, you know what I'm saying? Different type of colors for people to do painting and stuff with. Like, niggas you just going out having fun. 20,000, 30,000 years ago, you was traveling across street, cross seas, painting and drawing at people's shit. You see what I'm saying? I mean, what are we talking about? It says the stylistic unity of the paintings, not only at Lascaux, but in artistic expression throughout the region. Then figure 7G, which will tell you, it says, suggests that a class or school of artists were responsible. All right. So they do believe that it was some type of school going around, or, a nationhood of artists, you know what I'm saying, 20,000, 30,000 years ago. I mean, with just that alone, you know what I'm saying, that is something you need to think about. People got to actually take the time out to do artwork 25, 30,000 years ago. I mean, what are we talking about, man? People having fun like that. It don't sound like it was too much, warring going on for somebody to be able to do that as well. Uh, It's a we are surprised, even stunned, to discover that something so old could be sophisticated. And that's true. All right. Say we now have evidence of man in America at sites dating back to at least 33,000 years before present. All right. So we got one of the oldest dates right now, as he just stated, that I've seen when it's coming to this art. Since we're talking about art, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about you know, evidence of man actually dwelling in certain areas that they wouldn't expect man to be in. All right, we're now in the Americas. Shout out to all my Aboriginal American people. You know what I'm saying? The true Americans. Let's stand up. You know, we represent those who are us and those who want to help us as well. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not one to be biased and turn down any help. If you really want to help, I'm taking that. But if not, then you can stay in your land, like they say. Uh, it says, yeah, dating back at least 33,000 years before present. All right. So conservative archaeologists, when they have admitted these dates, have told us that these were all primitive men. All right. And that's what they say. It says at Monte Verde in Chile, early excavations by Tom Delahaye first found man's presence dated to 12,800 before present. All right. This culture was diverse, exploiting a wide range of environments, including forests, estuaries, and seacoasts, all identified from plant remains. Studies of different houses revealed variations in the use of local and non-local material. All right. Says the diverse food resources alone prove Monteverde to be more sophisticated than primitive bands of Clovis hunters in North America. All right. It say, but the fact that it was at least 1,000 years prior enables Monteverde to debunk the Beringia theory, which is the Bering Strait theory, by itself. Moreover, at deeper levels, Delahaye and his team have recently uncovered a culture that flourished 33,000 years ago. At these lower stratigraphic levels, investigators have discovered an agricultural basis to the culture that included a variety of tubers, including the potato. So what he getting into is basically saying right now, talking about Monteverde and Chile. Was an advanced area as far as what they found, as far as the type of food and things that were developed in the area, and how the culture of things, I guess, as far as dealing with the people and how they got and dealt with the land. You got to know the ecology, you know what I'm saying, to be able to have all this variety of agriculture sustained. It says similarities in rock art at Pedra Ferrada in Brazil and at the widely separated site of Monte Verde in Chile confirm contact across a vast continent. All right. So it's saying, basically from the similarities in the rock art that they found in from Monte Verde, Chile, all the way to Brazil, it was all similar, as if people were in coordinates with another, with one another, to be able to keep this defined art going. It says confirmed contact across a vast continent. It says an artistic, art, agricultural, and culturally diversified civilization existed, actually flourished in the Americas over 20,000 years before the more primitive Clovis man supposedly migrated across the Beringia. All right. So basically saying this is so old, which I'm not going to deny, you know what I'm saying? If people been traveling, even just doing art, You know what I'm saying? You're gonna attract other people, and you're gonna attract like-minded people that are actually interested in the same things. So you talking about dating something 33,000 years ago as being a flourishing culture and civilization in that area. I mean, you got to think about it. Uh, like I say, a lot of this stuff is way older than what we think and what they want us to know anyway, and dealing with different ethnicities, a group of people. I mean, we just got to be honest about that. You know what I'm saying? Even though they do acknowledge the Negro type being over the planet as the oldest and carrying some of the oldest blood, it doesn't count out the different areas that the Negro may have been and other ethnicities as well. So it's just about, really taking honor in, if people did travel and do things, come in contact with people. Some people probably, some people liked each other. I'm just gonna keep it real, even if they didn't look alike, maybe. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it happens today. We just got to be honest with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's all about really and being able to honor and acknowledge where your people are and where they from. Everybody got a story to tell. So, you know, that's what I'm realizing dealing with everybody. You just got to stick with people who are like you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's all type of varieties. So, you know, you got plenty of people to choose from. But this right here, uh, this is one of the paintings. This is 7H. I don't even think he started talking about it exactly yet. And that's 7I. But we'll take a look right quick just to see what the paintings is. Um, 7H is a cave painting of giraffes. All right. So once again, when you see this, you gotta really think, okay, this could be the size, this wall could be the size of the wall in your house, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe bigger, with a painting of a giraffe on it, you know what I'm saying, in a cave. So you just gotta think, okay, it was definitely some advanced stuff going on, you know what I'm saying? To be able to, do art that big and to express it in that manner and to be able to tell what it is on a cave wall, you definitely know what you're doing. It says from the Irongo Mountains in now Namibia, Africa. All right, so this is in Africa. It says cave paintings in Southwest Africa have been dated at some sites at 26,000 years before present, 10,000 years before present, and 3,500 years before present. It said, and 500 years before present. It said they mark a continuity of a sophisticated expression of culture that spanned many millennia. Sadly, the art of painting has disappeared among the Sun peoples or the Sand peoples, formerly called the Hottentot or the Hottentot, whatever you want to say. Say within the past few hundred years, years marked by acrimonial contact with modern Europeans. All right. It says, yet the myths and lore of the sand still describe an original creation of a people who were too stupid to survive. All right. So he's saying, uh, they just trying to act like, these were some non, legitimate people or irrelevant people in the area where they found this stuff at. Um, and as far as the people they would have been relating to. He said, and who were destroyed by a conflagration. All right. He said, and they describe a second attempt at the creation of man that resulted in the sand people of today. He said, it is a coincidence that their myths reflect those of the Maya, or that their paintings share the style of 20,000-year-old paintings in France, some 5,000 miles in distance. All right. So he's just saying, it's ironic that you got a style of art in Africa that is similar to other paintings in other countries. You know what I'm saying? Somebody, was either moving around or you just had people that were advanced in these times that they try to tell us, that people were not. And, like I say, you got to travel the world, see stuff for yourself. So this right here is a painting, obviously, or a drawing. Let's see, it says transformation. Say, man ritually transforms himself into an armadillo so that he can dance at the place Hunapu, or descended into the underworld. Okay, so this must just be like an old drawing of an armadillo. So this must be some type of Mayan painting. See what I'm saying? Mayan drawing, Mayan artwork. It says expressions of art and ceremony and burials from Brazil to the Czech Republic among Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, ancient Africans, and people yet to have found a designation speak of the presence of myth and civilization and fruitful coexistence for tens of thousands of years before the birth of civilization. So basically what he was saying is this proves that people, across the lands and across the waters and in different places were very much so civilized, if not more than we are today, just they're pretty much, are more civilized or were more civilized just from doing, just from examining the artwork that they find in areas. Um, it says, since it is clear that advanced civilizations with intricate divisions of labor existed long before and in their range of achievement far beyond the scope of incipient agricultural cultures in Mesopotamia. It says, what happened to their historic record? All right. So what could have happened if nobody is talking about all this great art and these cultures that were pretty much in these areas of finding the art? It says traditional archaeology advised and guided by the theory of gradual and slow evolution and progress simply has no answer. It says myth does. All right. So let's see what he says. Say, taken figuratively, allegorically, or as the portrayal of actual events in story form, myth has related to our intuitive senses in ways that scientific measurement and historic renderings have not. All right. It says often myth has told its story while addressing the difficult questions of existence, death, transformation, formlessness, and creativity, without losing track of actual and significant events. All right. It says myth has had a way of preserving its tales in their original form. In myth, there are recurrent ages, cycles of alignment and darkness, war and peace. All right. Apprehended by a different mindset than our own, myth has survived through a series of transcendental images, often allegorical, often animist. All right. So it's, just giving you that it's different ways that they describe myths in, different areas. Of course, we know. Encountering tales of a man las, lassoing the sun, or turning himself into a coyote or an owl or a jaguar, the empirical scientist has thrown his hands up. Just giving you how myth stories go and say, and the myth and this myth dismissed all myth as fable. In doing so, he has missed the point. It says myth told among peoples who lived in close harmony with the earth and the sky had to be expressed in vivid images that reflected man's magical association with the earth. It says it's animals and with the movement at times erratic of the heavens. It says if it had been told in the dry, factual manner that historians of the past several centuries have employed, it would have been discarded and forgotten. All right. So the recognition of human mortality has inspired the need, now considered among many of us as impossible, to transcend death. For mythic man, transcendence was obvious. It only needed a description. The purpose of myth is to describe transformation of the individual into a different, often lesser, and sometimes greater realm of being. Thus, the transformation was at times described as a rebirth as owls, at other times as beasts, and sometimes as stars. All right. It says lacking the poignancy of immediate human involvement, these records would have been committed to a written form and no longer conveyed orally. All right. So it just giving you a breakdown of how myth has been displayed over time. And say probably man's history has been told both ways concurrently for tens of thousands of years, but for a variety of reasons, including systematic destruction of the written records of defeated cultures, only myth has survived, which is true. It says science sadly insists that the universe is so big and individual man is so small that no connection between man and the cosmos is possible. The essence of myth is that size has nothing to do with it. All right? Intuitive knowledge of nature combined with precise measurement of the movements of celestial bodies is a unifying force between man and creation, not the quantitative dimensions of the observer and the observed. And that's, so I can agree with that because, you know, just dealing with astrology alone, if you really know how to look at it and really know how to read where your planets or forces are aligned in certain spaces that they call, the constellations or the astrology or whatever, you will have more of an understanding of the type of demeanor and character and persona you're gonna be dealing with. Um, like they say, they want you to feel like aliens are around, that have way more advanced technology and science and ways of living than we do, but yet don't want to leave Earth for some reason. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what are we talking about? Um, like I say, it's more so, like you say, having a connection with the so-called heavens, which is what they call, the constellations that we align with. If anything, we have a very uh, inspiring mechanism that we can work with if you really get into it. Uh, Shout out to my people, man, who really, you know, don't mind using astrological studies to better themselves. It says, in years carefully recorded by the ancient Egyptians and Sumerians, and in numbers devised by the ancient Maya, early man has told us a far different story. Primitive man in search of myth has been supported by his sciences, notably his mathematics and his astronomy. In fact, the mathematics by which we can now independently confirm astronomical observations and quantum mechanics were developed and understood by a primitive people, the Maya, okay? To a degree unmatched in the world until late in this century, the ancient view incorporated myth and science as well as myth and history as part of a balanced and holistic view of the world, all right? Talking about the Mayans. It says myth by recent believers has been called history in disguise. It is sometimes a considerable disguise, but the true test of myth as a container of fact and history is not whether man's participation in the events it describes is verifiable, but whether myth describes verifiable events. All right. So let's scroll down. It says, in myth, all of the founding gods of the great civilizations were navigators. Thoth in Egypt, Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan in Mesoamerica, Sume or Sum in Brazil, Oannes in Suma, and Viracocha in Peru. Myths of arrival by sea are universal, yet there have been no myths of migration across land bridges. All right. Even in North America, there are no myths of great journeys across the Barren Sea and over glacial terrain. Now, I mean, let's just be honest. You know what I'm saying? That's why you gotta, you know, like they say, you gotta move around. You gotta talk to people. You gotta know, okay, well, what do these people say? And what did these people do? You see what I'm saying? And there has been no ever traditional oral history of what they say the Bering Strait. So let's just be real. Says in the 13th century BC, a Babylonian priest named Berosus wrote in Greek an account of his native Mesopotamian culture entitled Babylonica. My bad, Babylonica. All right. So right there, we got the honest picture. We'll get back to that. Let me hit this right quick. It says, and he ascribes all the arts and sciences to primal being, half man, half fish, named Oannes, who came out of the sea and taught man everything there is to know, including the use of letters, sciences, and arts of all kinds, and rules for founding of cities and the construction of temples. It said, according to the Babylonian myth, Oannes, which is the one we just passed, we're going to go back up and look at it. It says, was one of 7 founders to arrive from across the sea, adding, since then, nothing excellent has been learned, though much has been forgotten. It says, significantly, Oannes is described as father of metallurgy, since no metals of any significance have ever existed in Mesopotamia. Oannes had to come from across the sea. All right. And we know, okay, shout out to the American Indian Encyclopedia, which gave us a nice history lesson on metallurgy, letting us know that the first and most profound metallurgy was found in Americas up there in Michigan. Uh, Even dealing with, that area, you know what I'm saying? You still got Ohio with Dayton's, you know what I'm saying? Dayton, you know what I'm saying? The rims, and then later, even in the South, you had people developing motors. Not saying they wasn't doing it up there, but just how time as things went on, me knowing stuff myself, uh welding and just plumbing, doing any type of metallurgy, period. You know what I'm saying? Is a high perform art. It's a high perform science. You know what I'm saying? Let's go back up and check out the pic right quick with the bas relief of Oannes at Nineveh. So this is the picture. They got the fish head. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? With the half back. You know what I'm saying? The fish body. The other leg like whatever, or like a winged eagle style at the bottom. Uh, as you see, look like he's carrying some type of tool or bag or something. You see what I'm saying? I know A1 done showed a pic, AP done showed a pic of uh, old pictures of our people holding bags, and let's see what they say about it. It say symbols of foundation invariably describe arrival by sea, from the symbol of the fish in Sumerian myth to its adopted use as a foundation symbol for the early Christian church. Says the symbol of the fish also represented the great Lord Vishnu in Hinduism and Set. The founding god of the Egyptians, Set, is also represented as a boat. It says Poseidon, the sea god of the Greeks and the founder of Plato's Atlantis, is always depicted with the trident. All right. It says to some, the trident is only a spear for catching fish, but others interpret its parallel lines as represent the equator and the lines of the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. That's deep. It says others have interpreted as representing knowledge of longitude. The cross may also be regarded as a symbol of sea peoples, since its representation in the skies, the Southern Cross, occurs in the Southern Hemisphere, a realm only accessible in ancient times to seafarers. All right. Displaying the cross may have been a proud symbol indicating that its bearers knew of the southern seas. Now that's major. You know what I'm saying? So for people who, want to see the cross, you did uh have different representations of the cross, but anciently they saying as far as sea people, it just showed people who knew how to navigate the southern hemisphere, you know what I'm saying, the southern seas, which is, you know what I'm saying, that's major. uh so that's basically, what that was describing too was, uh this representation has been known and symbolic throughout lands as well, as far as awareness. So it says, yeah, significantly, Oannes is described as a father of metallurgy. All right. It says, since no metals of any significance have ever existed in Mesopotamia, Oannes has to come from across the sea. If he was a bringer of bronze, as he was described, he likely brought copper ore from Isle Royal in Lake Superior. All right, so that Lake Superior is there by Michigan, right? I mean, is it just me, or I mean, it says in 10 from Lake Titicaca in Bolivia. Okay, so this is three different locations of uh different minerals that supposedly was brought by Oannes, in the myth. And that goes along with us as an American people, us having these minerals and things in our possession as a people. If we were traveling the land, being as advanced as we were and as cultivated as we were, we could very well much so share it with people in other areas. And I think that's more what the myth is describing, as far as us as a people. I don't think it's just one person who actually went and traveled teaching everybody everything. It had to be a group or a nation of people that knew this science and the ways how to do, agriculture, and to be able to teach it as well. Um, it says a Nuado myth, Central Valley of Mexico, says describes an arrival by sea that is preserved in the Codex Boturini with a series of paintings depicting sea boats and a god whose symbol was an Ilbal or Ilbal, which has variously been interpreted as a book. You know what I'm saying? A place to see. It said, or as a seeing instrument attached to an elliptical rod. All right. It said his arrival, according to the long count, was in 15,600 BC, and it founded an age that did not end until the deluge almost 5,000 years later. Okay. Mexican foundation myths of the ancient Toltecs were still known to the Aztecs when the Spanish chronicler Friar Sahagun recorded their myth of Ponatlan or Panotlan at the landing site. Panotlan means place of arrival by sea. All right. Place of arrival by sea. It says in Egypt, The concept of arrival by sea is accompanied by the myth of departure by sea to the underworld. The departure is described as a journey to the west, to the lands of origins. I mean, now wait a minute. I mean, what would be west of Egypt? You know what I'm saying? The land of origins. Would it be talking about Egypt today? You see what I'm saying? Okay, so you go west of Egypt today. It can't be talking about Nigeria and all that and Ghana and all that because it's this. They're not even mentioned. You know, they haven't even been mentioned. You know what I'm saying? So um, he already mentioned, okay, 33,000 years of great agricultural cultivation and culture was going on in Chile, all the way to Brazil. So we know people did travel, as they say, by sea. And to describe a journey to the west, to the land of origins, I mean, what else could they be talking about but the Americans? You know what I'm saying? Uh, it says the Minoans, who before recent excavation and terror were considered a mythical people, had myths handed down from a far earlier past. Their just kings were honored during the lives, but honored even more in death. For in the afterlife, they became the gods that sat in judgment of the dead. Minos became such a judge, as did his brother, Rhadamanthus. All right, it says together they ruled the afterlife from a land across the great ocean. It said it was the land from which they had come, and it was the land, if they lived just lives, to which they would return. It says in Strabo's words, which must be you know, one of those people, said they were assured an eternity of bliss far to the west in the splendid isles of the blessed. Now that rhymed a little bit. It says soft winds wafted to them the treble songs of birds. Fresh fruits grew just overhead for their delight. Their friends and lovers were eternally young, eternally reunited, eternally at peace. On all sides stretched the silver summer sea that languidly lapped the shores of their Atlantis. All right. So what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? They let you know that the land where the heaven realm is at would have been Atlantis, which is, as in this book, in America, as I say, is America. Let's get it, man. Hope y'all bearing with me, man. I'm gonna try to wrap this up in a few. As far as this right here, I definitely wanted to read a little part out of the American Encyclopedia, man. So I hope y'all bearing with me out there. Um, let me check right quick, man. Man, much respect and salute, man. Hope y'all building. You know, it ain't boring, y'all. So I'm gonna try to get through it a little bit more steadier, man. Much respect to y'all for hanging in there, though, man. Salute, man. Much respect to everybody. Let me get back to my screen. Alright, to my book. Alright. Alright, so right here, he getting into the Popol Vuh. It says, or council book of the Quiche Maya of the highlands of Guatemala describes the four known ages of man as four attempts to get it right. All right. It says in the third try, the gods attempt to make man out of wood. The Popol Vuh described it thus. All right. So check this out. It said this was the peopling of the face of the earth. They came into being. They multiplied. They had daughters. They had sons. These mannequins, wood carvings, all right, says, but there was nothing in their hearts and nothing in their minds. nor memory of their mason and builder. They just went and walked wherever they wanted. It says now they did not remember the heart of the sky, and so they accomplished nothing before the Maker. Modeler who gave them birth gave them heart. It says they became the first of numerous people here on the earth. Again, there comes a humiliation, destruction, and demolition. The mannequins' wood carvings were killed when the heart of sky devised a flood for them. All right, so that sounds familiar. Says a great flood was made. Says they were not competent, nor did they speak before the builder and sculptor who made them and brought them forth. And so they were killed, done in by a flood. All right, so that story definitely sounds familiar. You know what I'm saying? Coming out of Popol Vuh, the third part of the creation of man, which was wood, a wood man. So in reference to that, basically, people who don't have any emotional ties or connection to their source. It says this was when there was just a trace of early dawn on the face of the earth. There was no sun, but there was one who magnified himself. Seven Macau was his name, or Seven Macau. He was like a person of genius in his being. He said, I am great. My place is now higher than that of the human design. I am their sun and I am their light, and I am also their months. And so Seven Macau puffs himself up as the days and the months, though the light of, let me scroll down, though the light of the sun and moon has not yet clarified. He only wished for surpassing greatness. This was when the flood was worked upon the mannequins, wood carvings. All right. So once again, man, I mean, that's pretty much, that sounds very familiar. Even when this Seven McCall guy sounded like Jesus, I am the light and this and that, I am the sun. We know the sun does make its way every day, helping us keep account. You see what I'm saying? Let alone with the moon. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It has its relevancy. It says, how does this story of the proud and defiant Seven Macaw and the flood visited upon his people differ from Plato's story of the proud Atlanteans advancing on Greece, or with biblical stories of pride and downfall by forces of heaven, or with any similar story retold through hundreds of cultures through countless years? All right, that's questioning. Through hundreds of cultures through countless years. All right, it says compared to the Greek myth of Deucalion and Pyrrha, descending from Mount Parnassus after the deluge. So that's their flood story, obviously. Says the only humans left in a dead world. In the Hindu version, the people lose their faith. The Lord Krishna departs, the age of Kali descends, and the ocean rises to destroy the unbelievers. And the people are sustained only by the belief that Kalki will bring a new age. It is the same story universally told. And I agree, you know what I'm saying? Basically, out with the old, in with the new, or let's reestablish the old to end the new. That's pretty much a cycle that happens throughout time. You know what I'm saying? When you look at different, things that happen throughout the ages, you know what I'm saying? Uh, it says right here, Genesis 11 refers to an age of international builders. After the flood, narrated in Genesis 7 through 8, says talented men sharing a common language, one set of words. All right. It says Genesis 1. It says set out to build the Tower of Babel. All right, and we know that story. All right, it says we can compare this biblical account to the myth told of the founding of Cholula, south of Mexico City near Puebla. All right, so we said we got a comparison here that we can have with this story from the Bible with the Tower of Babel, talking about the pyramid in Tallulah, obviously. Says at the time of the cataclysm, the country was inhabited by giants. Okay, here we go with a giant story. In the myth, it says some of these perished utterly, others were changed into fishes, while 7 brothers of them found safety by closing themselves into certain caves in a mountain called Talak or Lalak. When the waters were as used a sewage, when the waters were assuaged, one of the giants, Zahua, surnamed the architect, went to Cholula and began to build an artificial mountain, a pyramid. All right, because Cholula is definitely like it looks like a mountain, but it's a pyramid. It said as a monument and a memorial of the Talak that had sheltered him and his when the angry waters swept through all the land. The bricks were made in Tlamen, Talmenoco, however you want to say that. It says at the foot of the Sierra de Cocoto or Cocoto, and passed to Cholula from hand to hand along a file of men. Whence this came is not said, stretching between the two places. Then were the jealousy and the anger of the gods aroused, as the huge pyramid rose slowly up, threatening to reach the clouds and great heavens. All right. It said great heavens itself. It said, and the gods launched their fire upon the builders and slew many, so that the work was stopped. All right. Sounds just like the Tower of Battle story. All right. It says, but the half finished structure afterward, dedicated by the Kolu text or the Cholu text to Quetzalcoatl, still remains to show well Zelhua, the giant, deserved his surname of the architect. The Cholula Pyramid is still the largest known structure in terms of cubic content in the world, but according to myth, it was never completed. The gods destroyed the pyramid and confounded the language of the builders. So that sounds just like the Tower of Babel. You see what I'm saying? And this is known to be a myth. You see what I'm saying? So basically, if that's the case, if this myth is older than the so-called biblical story of the Tower of Babel, then this is exactly where they got it from. All right, it says myths of foundation. Figure 7, it says, are almost invariably intertwined with myths of destruction by cataclysm. The Dresden Codex of the Maya says the sky approached the earth, and in one day all perished. Even the mountains disappeared under the water. Another Maya myth speaks of an inundation which swept across the world, swallowing all things in its mountainous surges. All right. So let's go back up and look at the picture we skipped right quick, man. All right, and this is uh Codex right here. It says destruction myths of the Maya. Uh it says the only books to survive destruction by the Catholic Church, the Popol Vuh and the Quiche Maya, and the Chilam Balam of the Yucatan Maya describe the destruction of a civilization similar to Atlantis. All right. However, 3 codices of Mayan hieroglyphs smuggled out of Mexico eventually showed up in Europe. Now, how ironic is that? It says glyphs from the so-called Dresden Codex describe the deluge pictorially. Torrents of water pour from a serpent in the sky under the signs of Venus, Jupiter, Mercury, and Mars. 2 additional vast streams pour down from the heavens. The moon goddess, symbol of death, pours more water from an inverted vase while an evil god drives two arrows of destruction down upon the earth. The meaning can only be that all the forces of nature reigned on the earth. Myth and art are one. Myth and history are one. It says, but can myth and scientific verification be one? And that's a good question, you know. So if you look over to your left, like I say, that's the codex. Excuse me, y'all. Describing the flood or a deluge. So there you have it right there. You know, it's a nice little codex there. You know what I'm saying? We actually had a codex books that actually probably showed that. Um, so I'm gonna read a little bit more of this, and then we're gonna wrap this up, y'all. All right. All right, so this right here is another codex. Um, as you see, like a man on a boat going over water with a few astrological or forceful symbols. It said it's a man Zamna arriving from the east as depicted in the Codex Troano. It says Mayan myths say that their ancestors came from the ocean. Like the Nuado people to their north, they describe more than one foundation. The mythical civilizer is Zamna or Zamna, carrying the letters of what would become the Mayan language, arriving from the east to found one age. It says Zamna came across a sea with 12 paths through it. In the celestial sea, the zodiac has 12 paths. All right. It says later in a different age, another migration came from the west, led by Kukulkan, the Mayan equivalent of Quetzalcoatl. Like the peoples of Mexico who described several incarnations of Quetzalcoatl, and like the Hindus who described many appearances of their Lord God Krishna, the Maya myths had Kukulkan arriving several times. It said one appearance was in the form of Tanaka, a migrating seafarer. In Peru, the Quechua or the Quechua say Tonapa, a seafaring incarnation of Viracocha, left into the Pacific to found civilizations in Oceania. All right. So saying he went out to find more civilizations, you know what I'm saying? It says in Peru, the Incas described two separate creations by Viracocha. The first having angered the god so that he brought about their destruction by a great deluge. The children of the sun had a full account of the deluge. It says no living thing survived except a man and a woman. Then the creator fashioned out of the clay one person for each nation. It says then he gave life and a soul to each one, men as well as women, and directed them to their designated places on earth. All right. So, you know, it says the Gila of America's Southwest Desert have the following myth. The eagle came to warn the prophet and to say that all the valley of the Gila should be laid waste with water. But the prophet gave no heed. Then in the twinkling of an eye, and even as the flapping of the eagle's wings died away into the night, there came a peal of thunder and an awful crash, and a green mound of water reared itself over the plain. It said, when morning broke, there was nothing to be seen alive but one man. All right, so, you know, we'll wrap it up right there, man, as far as with the myths, just giving you different, you know, ways of how they compare and are similar to one another throughout the lands in different ways, you know, that we can interpret it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he go in, man, especially just going in on the Americas. Um, but we'll try to jump back into it, man, sometime later. I did want to get into this passage in ecology for a minute. Hope y'all can bear with me, man. This is coming out of American Indian contributions, you know, the encyclopedia, man. So this is on ecology. Ecology is pretty long in read, so I just started right here where I felt like it'd be a good spot to start at, just to make the point I wanted to make in relation to what we were dealing with, dealing with the myths and how our people really looked at life and how we viewed, the world and how we dealt with the planet. Um, so check it out. It says many indigenous people viewed the earth as a mother or grandmother. In some tribes, the creator, later translated as the Great Spirit in North America, was seen as grandfather. All right. It says American Indians therefore believed that the individual people were a small part of a very large family, and for this reason, they placed high value on cooperation. All right. It says people, plants, animals, the rocks, the land, and natural forces like wind and water were all considered to be interconnected like partners. You know what I'm saying? I still agree with that to this day. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of our people kind of strayed away from that type of thinking, dealing with certain, religious ideologies that we were placed in or that our families happen to be a part of. Um, so it is what it is. It says everything placed on earth was a potential helper in this partnership. For instance, wild plants like sage were not considered weeds by Indian people as they were by Europeans. See what I'm saying? So a distinction there is being made. You know, even today, people cook with the certain the sage, leaf that you can cook with, while most of us like to deal with the wild sage as far as burning it to keep the energy purified and to keep the stress away and negativity as far as that type of energy and force in your house. It says instead such plants were used as food or as medicines to heal people. You know what I'm saying? So of course, it says these beliefs these beliefs affected the way American Indians lived their daily lives. In the upper Midwest of North America, for example, the Chippewa who harvested wild rice on the lakes of what are now Minnesota and Wisconsin only took part of the rice, leaving the rest to go to seed. Says northern plains tribes whose survival depend on bison typically used every part of the animal, wasting nothing. Tribes in the Northwest who fished for salmon did not try to snare all of them from the streams where the fish had come to spawn. Said although they had the fishing technology to do so, they understood that in order to ensure continuing harvest of fish, they had to conserve this renewable resource. And it's just like today, we have our seasons for people who fish, certain points of the time of the seasons. You want to fish for certain fish just to keep the ecological balance in the water, whatever pond or lake you dealing with. You know what I'm saying? You want to make sure you do have a limited of fishing going on, so you can, like you say, reapply that same style or same type of fish. It says they understood that in order to ensure continued harvest of fish, they had to conserve this renewable resource. Indigenous agriculturists throughout the Americas, such as the Maya of Mesoamerica, planted crops on a piece of land for 2 or 3 years, okay, and then allowed the land to rest in order to renew itself. And this is one thing that is very key when it comes to agriculture and actually keeping the land cultivated. That's true. You don't want to plant nothing for no more than 2 or 3 years, only to keep that soil from being, keeping that moisture and being able to keep the nutrients that it can develop in the soil. Because if you just keep planting certain crops without allowing the land to rest, it will dry out and nothing will never grow there again. Um, Even in certain cases where you may have human blood that can, if you have a lot of human blood that actually hits a certain area on land, it can actually, kill the life of that area. You might, if it's blood, like a lot of blood in one spot on the grass, it can actually kill that grass, and that grass would never grow again. So it's just knowing how to take right precaution and keeping the land vital is the main reason why you don't want to plant or overcrop your land after 2 or 3 years. So hopefully people take heed of that. It says North American Indians manage forests by cutting or burning underbush, working in partnership with nature. All right. It says you can also see forest management with that, which is something that we did and still can do to this day. It said, in addition to these desire to remain in balance with their surroundings, American Indian ecologists were motivated by respect and gratitude. The old people literally came to love the soil, wrote Luther Standing, bearer of his Lakota people and land of the spotted eagle. All right, so that's a book by somebody in the Lakota. It says they sat on the ground with the feeling of being close to a mothering power. It was good for the skin to touch the earth, and the old people like to remove their moccasins and walk with their bare feet on the sacred earth. The soil was soothing, strengthening, cleansing, and healing. Now, of course, they chose moccasin to give a representation because that was due to the story that was being given. But just like anywhere else, you know what I'm saying? It was shoes and boots and stuff too. Just giving you the story in a way that people can understand it. That's all. It says the traditional Indian attitude that the earth is a good place filled with good things to feed, clothe, shelter, and heal the people ran counter to that, all right, ran counter to that of the European colonists who spent much of their time fighting to subdue natural forces rather than striving to live in harmony with them. So once again, this invasion of foreign, European colonists uh, who are not living this way of life, who wanted to dominate everything and who wanted to come along and uh, take away our ability and way that we sustain things as a people, is an act of war. And it's a war we still facing to this day, mentally and spiritually. Not as much physically, but it is in a way physically when you do have people who not supposed to be in charge of allowing people to do business and come in and associate themselves with our land and not giving it to the proper people who's supposed to make that decision. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're dealing with. It says for the most part, okay, hold on. It says the underlying European belief system taught that the material world, what can be touched, heard, seen, tasted, and smelled, was evil. Worldliness was considered sin. It says for the most part, Christian colonizers thought themselves better than plants and animals because they believed their God had ordained them to rule over the natural environment, much like the chain of emperors and kings that had ruled throughout Western history since Roman times. They just justified this by, and this is how they justified. They justified this by quoting the Bible. All right. And this is what they do. They quote the Bible using Genesis verse Genesis chapter 1, verse 24. And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and all over earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So just with that alone, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna stop it right there, you know what I'm saying? Because we do have this is what we are going up against as a people. You know what I'm saying? This is damn sure for sure, a way that people go about using our people to, submit to a certain ideology, in a certain way of life, actually looking at other living organisms and biological uh things in nature. You should look at it as to cooperate with. You shouldn't look at it as something that's uh under you, or something that you're supposed to rule over, because this is by design a way to create chaos. Because why? Somebody's going to say, well, I'm supposed to be over you and you're supposed to be under me. See, this type of thinking creates this whole mentality and persona for our people. So when you have a religious ideology that likes to, utilize things in that manner in order to express that, we can do what we want to do because it says so here, well, that's only in agreement to the people. And, a lot of our people to this day, those same people will not take care of themselves. Those same people will, not associate themselves to do things better. These same people will, allow someone to come in and radaz and persuade you to sign off on a bill or a law that is not going to benefit your people or nothing around you. And this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a whole new way of people that want to, dominate our land. So, of course, man, I hope y'all take heed of that, man. I ain't want to hold y'all too long, man. Most of y'all already know what's up, man. I appreciate everybody for jumping in and really giving, they honor to take a time to listen. I know it was a pretty lengthy read, but I just wanted to really, everybody, I just wanted to really let that be clear, man. We're not alone. You know what I'm saying? It is people out here doing the work. That's why I chose to go out of the books that, I just read out of. Um, Even though I still would like to do and be able to do these things myself. Not saying that I'm not, but one day, hopefully, man, me and the brothers can go out here and really just take a look and see what's going on, man. Do our own excavations and set up a team to really show the truth to our people, man, so we can really get this, get our education the right way. At least that, because when you're dealing with a world where you got people that don't care about making people sick, I mean, what are we gonna do, man? You know what I'm saying? What are we gonna do? We gotta stand up, support one another, and at least, at least see things in the same manner. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's still a lot that need to be done, man. You know, much respect to everybody that's out here doing something and trying to make a way for you people. Keeping your children safe, keeping yourselves safe. You know what I'm saying? Helping everybody, the ones who really love, man. Much respect, man, because we out here and sometimes, you know, you gotta guard that love for yourself as well, man. Make sure you take out the time to love yourself, because you don't, everybody may not have a good day when you having a good day. So you just have to prepare yourself, man, and give people time to grow. Give people the time to understand. Y'all know how it is, man. I'm out here every day. So for those who know, whoever come in, listen, you know what I'm saying? People I be on the phone with, you know, y'all already know what it is, man. We stay in touch. Salute the Chief Holiday out there, man. That's a brother right there. Y'all know how we get, man. I can drop the link, man, if y'all want to for a sec, man. I ain't want to hold nobody up because I ain't know if anybody was going live. Really, I really didn't want to go this long. I know AP usually go live. You know what I'm saying? Who else? What's her name? Sister Soul. There's a few people, man, I be seeing go live pretty much every day. Ab TV, shout out to him, man. Salute to that brother, man, doing this thing, man. I know I've been looking into crypto myself, man. So, like I say, man, y'all, you want me to drop the link, Chief? I can. I mean, it's up to y'all, really, man. I know y'all know I don't hardly be live like that, man. I like to learn too, man. It's supposed to be so many debates and stuff lined up. I just been ready to see who gonna do that. I be having stuff I have to do as well, man. I've been doing a lot of readings for people lately as far as astrology charts and stuff like that. So y'all know how it is, man. Y'all know how it is. But Chief Hell, if you want to hop on for a sec, let me know, bro. Or anybody, I guess I can share the link right quick. Let me get it on right quick. Word, man. Like I say, man, I appreciate everybody for slide through. Shoot. You know what I'm saying? Rocking out with your man Jag. I know I ain't been like I say, man. I got children, man. What can I say? And everybody around me, I got a big family. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people know me in my area, so a lot of times I just be in and out trying to see what everybody else talking about, man. I just wanted to share a little something today, man. Help everybody really see what's going on and how actually long our people been living, man. How long we been cultivating and really taking the time, to do what we do, man. Bright Mo Deezy, what up, bro? Y'all already know, man. Salute to the God, man. Empress Freedom Feathers, salute. Black Wolf, salute, man. You already know that's the OG right there. Little Mayhem, Wild Indian, salute. Y'all already know. Wilmore Reed, that's big bro. Salute, man. Ladariel, you already know. Salute, man. Salute to the bros. Y'all already know how it is. Truth over everything. That's my man. You already know how we get down, man. That's the guy right there. The man been around just as long as me. I know that for sure, man. I used to be in the chats together, beating up people who didn't know what the hell they were talking about, man. So shit, man. So salute the truth over everything. Chief, what it do, bro? You already know, man. Much respect.
Jag, peace of the God, man. How you feeling today, brother? See you up putting in the work early, man. Well, at least early for me. It's not that early for you.
Hey,
Yeah, man. It's a good thing, man. It's a
yeah,
good
man.
thing.
Hey, when you got time to let it out, man, I've been wanting to go over that little part for a minute, man. Just never got the time to do it, just
I
to
caught the
help.
tail end of it, man. But I know about it. Um, here's my thing, right? When we ask these questions, bro, all
Yeah,
the time, from the same people, by the way. You know what I'm saying? They say, "Well, where's your guys' evidence?" Right? And we give them references like this book or any other book, right? The same way they would, right? But
hmm
what their problem is that the books have to have something attached to them. You can't write a book about missing links and stuff, right? For instance, use that example. And if you write enough books and you make enough Planet of the Apes movies, right, you can socially push something that is not legal, but is socially accepted.
That's right. Socially accepted. That's right.
Socially accepted. Right. Now, what we have to make these fucks be socially accepted is that we are our own peer group outside of social Darwinism, outside of Zionist funding, Nazi Zionist funding. So we catch both. Shout out to West Side Kulik on that. Um, because they the same coin, different size. You know what they say? Same bird, the same
Right.
different feathers. Some just shit, whatever. Y'all know. It's early for me, y'all. Just want to say peace to everybody, man. Hope you guys are doing well today. By the way, shout out to everybody. Yeah, man. Hey, shout out to you and your tribe too, man. I was posting. We're gonna be posting a lot more, man. Y'all support this brother's and his wife's business. So once again, it's about business. You understand what I'm saying? Um, Man, we're going to get you over too, man, and do a build, on
For
these
sure. You
things, bro.
already
You know
know,
what I'm
man.
saying? Yeah, because this stuff is really, really vital, and we need excerpts, from for this upcoming docu series, and everything that we doing, man. Y'all, we got things like we about to announce very soon. I'm really excited, man. I'm excited for the movement. I'm excited for the brotherhood, and everything that we've been struggling for years, bro. You know what I'm
Look,
saying? And then people don't even know the foundation before that. Like when it wasn't Aboriginal, and there was niggas was out here struggling, trying to find a way to build, to wake the people up. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
um, some of the people, like Jabari, the Garfields, the Rawborns, y'all, they have been getting their ass kicked for years consistently. They never have won nothing. Y'all understand what I'm saying? And they go out their way now so far with me. They just ignore me. You know what I'm saying? Like no talk to me, nothing. Just uh, no. I'm never gonna be able to go on their platforms, and I think that's censorship. I think that's cowards. You know, a little deep down inside me, my ego be like, "Rah." You know what I mean? Like that's cool. You know, the bully of bullies. You know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers are funded bullies. You know what I'm saying? We
Yep.
kick bullies' ass over here. We're talking metaphorically. We're talking about information, y'all. We are waking the people up every day. Every day, I see more and more people waking up. I want to say shout out to the foundational Black Americans, but once again, they're growing into foundational Americans. I'm hearing that now. Like, wait a
Okay.
minute, foundational Americans, FA First Americans. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Because when we saying we aboriginals to this land, we saying we're the foundational first, the original. Uh, what's some other synonyms, homonyms, you know, not native because once again, Tariq Nasheed
The
is still
original.
growing. Yeah, he's still growing and he's still learning, just like all y'all should be still learning and growing. And once again, people, sometimes, man, people can't get past some of the things, and that's fine. But everybody has a right to grow, from Mac lessons to and this is what I say, yo, we're gonna apply so much pressure that this movie that comes out on the Maroons, this motherfucker's gonna come out right. It ain't gonna be like a whole slave narrative 3.0 and shit. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta understand the work that we're doing over here, bro. And it's not respected. It's not, how about this? I ain't gonna say respected, because y'all might respect the shit out of this. Y'all might even love it, but definitely don't appreciate it. Support the real. We keep saying that motherfuckers be looking at us like we are fucking retarded. And that, how you think that make a motherfucker feel that put in this type of work or sacrifice from this and that and the third, you know what I'm saying, to present certain things. And people don't, they're like, oh, well, we don't. Yeah. It's cool, you know,
Well,
but
man, it's really just now
but
hitting my peak. Well,
we just here to play. We're not here
it's
to
really,
build anything. Yeah, we're here
yeah,
for how many times
it's
you can
just
make me
now.
laugh tonight. Yeah. Well, if
It's
that's
just
the
now
case,
hitting the peak.
sheesh.
It really is, man. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people 2 3 years ago, it was still the mentality, man. Well, what we gotta wait, we gotta we gotta wait to see what this person gonna do, that person gonna do. You know what I'm saying? And thanks to brothers like you, AP, you know what I'm saying, A1, Medicine Man, you know, people who really can put this thing in a lock. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to UBTV. You know what I'm saying? Uh, there's plenty more people. You know what I'm saying? That truth. You know what I'm saying? People that can really put this thing in a headlock and spin it and spin them around so you can get a good look at them. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we here to do. We're not here to play and just let you wander off. You know what I'm saying? Like we letting y'all know, like we've been here. We've been here and we've been doing this. It's been schools of this and schools of that hundreds of thousands of years ago. You know what I'm saying? And we just happen to be some of the people that did it first. And based on the America geographically dealing with artifacts and archaeology, anthropology, now even dealing with blood, you see what I'm saying? The so-called Negro aboriginal to the land is grand. And you got to feel good and appreciate that and let that carry you to the next life as well, because your soul essence carries everything that we come with. You know what I'm saying? It carries everything we come from. We gotta be the ones to apply what we learn that works for us. Everybody ain't gotta do everything. You know what I'm saying? Some of us already out here really, that got that link and got good spiritual connections to find a way for our people. You know what I'm saying? While you got other people who just want some attention and want to have good influence to get you out of some money. You know what I'm saying? Uh, if anything goes, from here on out, man, it's really unifying and keeping people with their families and keeping people, with each other to as much as possible, because you don't know what's gonna happen, man. Like I said, they out here trying to make us sick, you know, and they doing it, and it's good for us to stick with each other so we can learn the remedies and learn the ways of how we supposed to be, applying ourselves nowadays. Let's get this nation thing going. It's already in effect. It's done reached enough people in the right places. Now it's just still getting numbers. You know what I'm saying? We still just need numbers, man. So salute to everybody, man. Y'all already know how we do, man. It's all about just keeping it pushing, man. Y'all already know, man.
Well, we do have the numbers,
Yeah,
right?
we got some.
We got the numbers, and more numbers in the Arabs, the Asians, in a lot of circumstances, even the pale skins in certain jurisdictions, especially when we're talking about voting, especially when we're talking about the tax code that is not being used for our people. That's a problem. The system is broken, or not broken. Let's just say uh, foreigners have came to this country and they have all benefited from. Uh, I like to call it an occupation, and all of them stem from wars that have happened overseas, and we have always had to pay the brunt of all the refugees and all the waste people coming to our country. We got to stop calling them white people, pale at best. If you can't muster up waste people and degeneracy, and you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, because not that we push anybody down, we're just giving an accurate, not only legal description, a historical description, but a scientific description. Now, recessive genes do not predate dominant genes. That's a law. But they like to believe that out of Africa is even a theory. It's a hypothesis. And they would like to believe somehow they did not attach to the theory of evolution, right? And y'all know what the theory of evolution is. That's Darwinism, eugenics, Nazi Zionism. I'm not about to go keep going back and forth with y'all. Then y'all turn around and give us a Nazi Zionist. Shout out to West Side, man. A Nazi Zionist fucking DNA, genealogical DNA test. And then you know what the fools will turn around and say? But what about the paternity test? We're not talking about a paternity test. And
Right.
that lets you know that you should not
Yes.
be, not people like that do real work, that are serious, should not be having a real conversation. Have y'all noticed that we have the same conversation every time with the same people? What about voodoo? What language do you guys speak? And every time we tell them the same shit, they keep coming back with the same dumbass shit. Now, if we've literally just asked the African day before yesterday, what the fuck Africa mean? He did not know. I bet we can call Akon right now. He's not gonna know. Okay. I have a problem when we present professors and scholars and people who are from the continent and tell y'all, hey, no, that's not this, that's not a language, that's bullshit, it's cave dwellers, ugly people, right? Talk to Pan African Strikes Back. Was that yesterday? I think that was yesterday, day before yesterday. One of the two. He going back and forth. Oh, the free people is North Africa. Stop right there. It's automatically wrong. And they want to tell that story to attach it to the Scipio Africanus. Hey, bro, this is Harry Potter. This is not real. None of these people had these names, from Scipio Africanus to Cristobal Colon, Columbus, whatever Harry Potter story that you want to believe. It's interesting that these same people throw the Bible in the trash. Grandma, great grandma, everybody was on this book. Your ass is even on this book, even in the Quran, all these other things. And you guys could muster up throwing that away, but then you turn around and start worshiping McGraw Hill and all these other pale skins who, every time that you do the research on it, you dumbasses, they are religious nuts, and they come from a religious nutcase system. I don't want to keep going back and forth with y'all. It's really embarrassing at this point. That's why I tell them I don't debate, I teach. And once again, that's a fact, because every time we have these conversations with people, they're asking questions they don't know the answer to. So that means that you coming in, instead of just being in the chat room, just being like, yo, hey, bro, I got a few questions. You know what I'm saying? And I respect people that have questions. But once again, you have a fucking smartphone, dummy.
Yeah, because a lot of times they just want to
The
prove what they
fuck?
want to prove, bro. That's you already know how that is, man. They just want to be able to say, no, you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? And when they can't do it, then it's okay. Now ask you 1,000 questions without letting you answer. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Without letting you answer, right? Because they don't know the answer to it. And if you say something, they'll be like, no, that's not true. So another thing, a lot of times I'm having these conversations. Of course, we can pull stuff up, whatever. But even when we do that, I was up with Lex Vortex all night one night last week. And this fool, like, for no reason. No matter what I show him, he's going to still have a cognitive dissonance when it comes to this. Even after all the stuff that he said, yeah, I'm still this and I'm Aboriginal. Okay. And then the black man was here first. Okay. All these other things, bro. Like, come on, y'all. Like, we got to stop the bullshit. And every time, it's very interesting to me. Every time we ask about these pyramids and these structures here, these tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of structures here in the Americas, right? Why they just they don't even say anything back? Like, no, it's not. Or they don't say none of that. The most they'll say is, those are not pyramids, right? They say the dumbest shit ever, bro. Then we say, what about the pyramid of the sun? What about this pyramid? What about this pyramid? And guess what? Mounds are older pyramids that were destroyed. The fucking stones was taken off of it. Now, it would be different if we was making that up. It really would. It really be different. But we're not. That's the problem that y'all gonna keep running into, keep bumping your head like we're not making this up. Y'all are. And you don't have any evidence to prove it. They keep telling us about all these foods, bro. We had to definitely get into the encyclopedia, man, and 103 facts when we do this build, Jack. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. You know what I mean? It's really gonna be crazy because once again, people, they keep telling us these stories as if certain foods are from the continent of Africa when they're not. They're literally from America. And a lot of people just listen to the talking points as opposed to getting into any scientific data. You know what I'm saying? So there's a thing that people from here willingly went and colonized the continent of Africa. Now, the people that were already there did not like that. And so they had wars. But they already had civil wars going on. Motherfuckers just came in and just started taking sides of one of the tribes. That's how that worked. And in that conflict, right, especially going through the mid 1900s, going into later part of 1900s, people was going to war over resources, over their shit, over their ports, everything that we went through, right, hundreds of years before. They just going through it in the damn 1900s. So these stories that the Europeans have made up were set up over there by the CIA, and only English-speaking motherfuckers from over there are going to tell you these stories, period. Because they have been colonized, and their minds have been colonized since little bitty boys, little bitty girls, the same way that we have been. And I'm not saying I haven't been. I have been too. I figured out how to break the chains. You break the chains by breaking the word spells. Always know what the fuck you're saying at your face. Details matter. Words matter.
That's right.
Words matter. Shout the truth over everything.
And that's
Apex.
how they get us. You know what I'm saying? Like they
Yeah.
just cause you still see your favorite rapper or the movie actor that you're in love with or whatever, still say black and associate with these social constructs. You still got to be mindful. Okay, you know what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the only problem that anybody would have to really deal with at this level. Other than that, you should know, okay, for one, you're not black, nobody's white. Like you say, Chief, no, you don't see no Asian saying I'm yellow. You don't see no German talking about I'm pink. Like it's just not going down like that. Who wants to be identified as a color just because you want to put a spiritual spin behind it to make it mean something more to you? Like that's really insane. You know what I'm saying? And if anything, you be yourself uniquely. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to represent your family name. If anything, if you can't represent your area, be your name. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's gonna give you no love or no empathy identifying as black. And we've been trying to push that for the longest. That right there should help anybody with any situation, even with law, understand why you wouldn't be able to understand your complete rights by saying you're black, nor will you even develop a mindset to keep saying that. You know what I'm saying? And it really goes that deep. You know what I'm saying? It's sad that, like you say, it's spell words that a lot of people just don't want to let go to, because I heard the brother too, man, you got people come on there with the name black, and then this man talking about, black power, this and you know what I'm saying? Like it's cool we had that level of experience and was able to embrace that. But when it come to actual being a people, I mean, come on, man. Like that's common sense nowadays. You know, you don't see no power with that black, and that's just been out the door for the last 3-4 years now for sure. You know, and you got people still catching up or whatever, man. But it is what it is, man. You know how it is, man. Yeah, man. You know how we do, big bro. I think AP supposed to be going live though, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and close out, man. And hell, if anything, like I say, man, if you doing something later on, you already know. Let me know, bro. Shoot, we'll be on it. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot more stuff I can talk about anyway. Shoot,
Hey, well, for sure, man. We'll set it up after AP go off, man. You know what I'm saying? We're just gonna keep this thing rolling. We're gonna get an early start today. So I want to say
yeah,
shout out to you, man. The work that you're doing, man. Yeah, you come through, man, and we'll get it in after AP today, man. So we're
word.
trying to get everything set up.
We'll rock it out like that, there, man. Famous Friday. Hoping everybody having a good time, man. Embrace yourself, embrace your people, and do what you need to do to have fun, man. Don't do nothing demonic or unhealthy, I would say, but shit, it's on, man. Let's get it, y'all. Much respect
Mm-hmm.
to y'all, man. Salute to everybody, man. Much respect to you too, big bro. You already know, man. Yeah, man. So we gonna get on out of here, man. Much respect, y'all. Peace.